Supervisor Jones. Here. Clerk Brown. Here. Treasurer Miller. Here. Trustee. Here. Trustee Tawney.
Here.
7 yes. Move forward. All right.
Just don't keep breathing.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the September 8th, 2022 agenda. Resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to approve the September 8th, 2022 agenda as submitted. Do I have a motion? Moved and supported. Okay. Roll call. Supervisor Jones. Yes. Clerk Baraco, yes. Treasurer Miller. Yes. Trustee Tigers.
No.
Trustee Beamish.
Yes.
Trustee Greenwood. Yes. Trustee Dingman.
Yes.
7 yes. Number 6 on the agenda is approval of the August 18th, 2022 minutes. Resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to approve the August 18th, 2022 minutes as submitted. Any discussion? Roll call. Clerk Baraco, yeah, they came and spent the day with us yesterday. Is that right? Yesterday. The days are blending together. And I think it was really beneficial. We have been putting out bids, seeking bids for IT services. So far, we have 3 bids in. I was hoping we would be able to present to the board tonight. We're waiting on the 4th bid, which we should have early next week. So we will present a recommendation to the board next month for IT services. I'm really excited about this one. This just came in today. We've had a lot of residents who have been wanting us to offer recycling services, which we did years ago, I'm understanding here. And it was a little bit of a problem because people were dumping trash into the recycling and then it all had to end up being thrown out. So we got a bid from several of the companies, one that didn't call us back, but have decided to go with Republic. They'll provide an 8-yard truck, or not truck, a dumpster here, and they will pick it up, our recycling, any of the residents want to bring and put in, they'll pick that up twice a month for us. We'll see how it goes. We think at this point we want to keep it monitored. So while we're here in the office, it will likely be open 1 day per week. We'll see how that goes. It will be in that parking lot, kind of across there, so that it can still be under camera surveillance, so that anyone coming to dump trash, we can hopefully truncate that. And then it will be locked during the evening hours. And sadly, that's what we're gonna have to do if we wanna try to make this work. So that they said they will have the dumpster here for us, September 12th, so Monday. And then we'll put out an announcement as to, we were kind of trying to figure out best days. The pickups will be on Thursday, so we don't wanna open it up for residents on Thursdays, but probably Wednesdays are gonna be best for us. So there'll be an announcement coming, so watch our Facebook page for that as well as the website. Okay, and then we are working also with Revise, our website webmasters, and they are going to be working with us to really update the website, improve it, make it more user-friendly, so announcements can be easier to find. Everything should be. We've looked at other websites that they've developed, and we've come up with kind of a idea of what we want as we move forward. That's probably going to be a 6 to 7 month process, but look for some changes down the road with that. Okay, and I think that's it for now. Next on the agenda is public comment. This time were the public comment rules that were passed last month. Copies of those are out on the table if you need to refresh your memory about those, or if you weren't here last month. They're also posted on our website. If you would like to address the board at this time, you can come to the podium and speak at this point on agenda items only. Okay, agenda items only. At the end of the meeting, you will have the opportunity to speak on anything you wish. Okay, is there any resident who would like to address the board?
Who was gonna speak? Nobody wants to speak?
I think I'll start us off.
Please state your name and.
My name is Good Citizens. I'm a Bedford Township resident. We had a couple questions on the meeting today. I've seen that we're gonna be introducing possibly a new manager to the township here. Was this posted somewhere? How many applications were received? What are the daily manager duties compared to what the supervisor of township should be? What's their salary? And how much growth has Bedford really had for a new person in this position in the last 3 years? Would be something good to know. As far as the water and river road, like to know how many Bedford residents are affected by PFAS at this point in time, and how many Bedford residents will be helped if we do pass this in the township in terms of numbers.
It's not on our agenda tonight.
Oh, it's not, I'm sorry. Well, it was just passed. I just thought I would ask. So maybe some future, how many residents are affected, how many residents will be helped? And I just want to give another shout out to the Parks and Rec Committee for having a great year this year. I hope you keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you. I heard my name. I was at the Fourth Amendment protection, you can give my name, just so you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments from citizens?
Supervisor here. Some things on the agenda, really, the main thing is that discussion as far as having a supervisor or a superintendent or manager. It looks like you're just discussing which version maybe you want to go with. I hope that's not what you're talking about. Yeah, looks like it is based on looking at your face there. Because there's what need, I think you all need to truly actually show the need for the township, for that type of a position. I did a quick search today, I didn't find anyone under 15,000 as far as residents, and most of them are in metropolitan areas with a whole lot of things going on that have a superintendent or a manager. So I know from experience, there's not that much going on that we need to hire someone to do that. So it's important for you guys to explain before you go hiring and changing all kinds of core structures of our community, that you actually explain why and why you're gonna do that. Because context is everything. At the last meeting, I think context is important for everything. Context is everything, is what was said. And there's a lot of context then that's being left out by this board for political means and purposes. Such as the timeline in the supervisor address that happened at the last meeting. Was given by you, and you talked about things out of actual order, okay? You claim that you did not meet with Mr. Schatz because you had received a lot of phone calls. That is what is it, and I'm not asking for any talk back right now at all, because this is my time to talk, and this is my, ma'am, this is talking about address your address at the end, so this is addressing your address from the previous meeting that is part of the minutes.
This is not part of the agenda tonight. You may either sit down or you may leave the room, Adam.
We can pause my time and rewind it here.
No, you knew the rules.
Ma'am, the rules are that it's agenda items, and you approved on here from the last meeting where you address us. The people that are here to address you are grievances with you, the elected, well, you appointed in this position, because you don't like the context that we actually have, that you left out. Because what happened was July 14th, I'm going to speak through this until my time is up because of the interruption by you. because July 14th was the board meeting that some people expressed some concerns, but nobody called out anything as corruption. No one said corruption, yet you claim you did. I just went and watched.
Your time is up.
And nobody did that, and I have another 30 seconds that you did not.
Would you please escort Mr. Heickel out?
I'm not gonna be escorted out, ma'am. I have 30 seconds remaining from the time. Yes, I do.
You're out.
I'm not gonna leave the meeting. I'm gonna sit down and then I'll speak and finish the meeting. That's how it works, guys.
So he's broken the law, you
I'm
can't ask
not
him to leave.
leaving the meeting. I'm allowed to sit down and stop the disturbance.
Sir, the law, you cannot ask him to leave a public meeting.
Do not grab me,
No,
ma'am.
I know my constitutional rights, that's what he has. Can't be
I've
trespassed.
ran these meetings before, and that is the rule. I was told to stop, and now I'm stopping, so I will sit here and be quiet, and we'll continue the meeting. Thank you.
Please escort him out.
You can't take him.
Leave. You're disturbing the meeting. I need you to get up.
We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Oh, gee.
I need you to get up and walk out.
What law has he broken for him to have to leave this public building?
The
You have to have
rules,
re-
the Robert's
You have
rules
RAS.
of them, they have to warn that person and tell them that they have been interrupting the meeting, which now we have done. No, she did, and I was not allowed to stop the interruption, which we have done. I stopped and have sat down, and you're not even giving me an opportunity. You are immediately then trying to go from one phase into the other immediately, and that doesn't work. So we're gonna allow this to actually settle down and die down, but you are trying to escalate things. I'm trying to de-escalate things so that we can calm down now, and I can finish the time and we can finish the meeting, which is proper. So either you're gonna violate my rights by removing me from this meeting, or we're going to then continue this meeting like we properly should, because I have to stop the disturbance, which you are not given and she's not given, and you're not gonna remove me from the meeting and violate my rights and ability to address the grievance with my township officials. Redress my grievance with them is what this meeting is absolutely about, and they want to violate my rights, and you want to violate my rights in a ability to do that. Do you know Article 1, Section 3 of the Michigan Constitution that you take an oath to?
I suggest
You
we
took
just-
an oath to. I expect you to look that up and understand that.
Really?
All of you should.
Uh-huh.
Yes, what is it? Do you know what it is?
She asked you to leave. You need to do what she told you
She
to
can't
do.
make you
No.
leave.
She actually, she's left the room, and actually we're in recess right now for 5 minutes is what she said.
Okay, why don't
And
we
we're
all
trying to
calm down
explain,
and
I'd
show
ask for you to
some
get your
respect for
superiors
one
here then,
another?
please. I expect you to get your,
Excuse me, why don't we all calm down and show
Right.
respect
We'll
for
get-
one another?
We'll get to
well,
respect when I
ma'am,
get to
that's
the public
exactly right,
comment.
because this is the
Yeah, okay,
rights
you
that
guys
we're
are not
respecting.
respecting everybody else either. So
Ma'am,
respect
The
for
the
everyone.
finger, move the finger.
I've not addressed anyone
Respect.
personally in this meeting here, in the audience.
Respect.
Everybody's calm. Let's try and keep it that way.
You don't get to violate someone's rights like that. That's-
Respect.
At the last meeting, we had someone drop the F word right at the meeting.
That means shut
We
them
got
out.
when is the
That
5
means shut
minutes?
them out. Drop it.
In recess, there's no meeting to interrupt at this time.
I know, I understand, but
So
leave me.
I'll stop.
Leave me.
I like how they said my name, that public comment, if I didn't want
Dismissed.
to be known, and yet the whole board said my name.
You two are dismissed. He doesn't need any help. I can take care of it.
Where's my right to my privacy at this time? I mean, say my name in front of the public like that. A joke.
Thank you.
Right from a board member. At least you didn't assault me on the way out.
That's good.
Ding dong.
They don't want to
So
play
you
with
need
Steve
to-
Doolin. I'm
you
telling
need
you,
to
I'm bringing the constitutional.
Tell
This board will be gone.
These
two copies of the file.
Supervisor's comment.
This is my third meeting. With the first one, which that guy
Right,
assaulted
which she
somebody.
didn't.
The second one, I was called a thug and told that I will be eliminated from these type of meetings. People like me will be eliminated from these meetings for doing nothing but standing up and stretching. Talk to you like I was an animal. You know, I'm talking like a joke. Sit down like I'm some kind of dog. I got news for you.
I knew Johnny Cash would be here.
I got news for you. You done pissed off the wrong people. She's still. She could do. I'd love to get arrested and walk out by these guys tonight. On Bedford. Just how they've been messing up the whole town. That's the problem. These are big tax dollars going to incompetent people.
They just don't want to hear what you do. Just like you're trying to get me to shut up.
They interrupted me for 30 seconds, and all I wanted was my 30 seconds. I'm sorry, but
That's how they get you shut down.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
game they play.
you don't get to
It's
interrupt.
like for you, it's like sunshine when you walk in.
Right.
I put it on their face from thinking, no.
Allow people to scream the F word in the middle of your meeting, but not address it. Yeah.
Well, that's true.
She's trying to over and over again.
I'm sorry, but I want them on camera.
She's doing the same thing.
It's not you. When do I get to address the minutes that they just approved?
You know,
When do I get to talk about the things that we can cause behind the veil?
Michael, there's Bart.
It wasn't discussed at the last time. It's number 11 on our tax signing.
She feels afraid. She can't handle anyone pressing the grievance with her at any kind. I'm just ready to laugh. Yeah, it's live. YouTube. To be shared. I'm gonna share it.
Send me the link so I can send it to the wife.
Hold on, I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna share it.
She wants to be here for you.
Oh, you were asked to be here tonight?
And said, you know,
Oh,
what is it
that's the
mean?
bootlicker that went to the state and her husband.
Hire somebody?
Terry Goodwin.
Somebody's gonna install something. Instead of superintendent of schools, it's director.
And sometimes you have directors, you have chairperson.
I just wanted to let you know.
Is this a language?
Give her wings like Johnny did.
No.
The what? Oh,
I would like to be able to get to that.
Well, I'm just asking.
I know, but don't you think, like, I'm like, can we move forward if we can find out what's the cat in the hat, right? What's the bag? But we'll never get forward if we never get forward. So that's my thought is, I'd love to hear more about it, but.
All I want to know is.
no service, so it's.
Name change, cool.
Right.
If it's additional person to township. Okay, why?
They can call them, Barney the dinosaur, but if they're paying him the same budget, their budget is the same dollar, then who cares what they do, right? But we'll never get to that point.
It might be a legal thing.
Yeah.
It may be.
I'm right here, you know.
This, instead of that wording.
Yeah, right.
No problem.
But we assume we know, or I don't know, so that's my game.
No, I got it. Ask me about it, and I said, I don't know. But I can come in.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's important to do.
Oh, yeah.
Tried to grab him.
It's better than golfing or whatever I was doing. Just not the same.
Andy Kevin, how are you? I looked into it.
Where at?
On Diane Street,
Oh, I didn't see that.
yeah, for 40.
Didn't you used to live over in Bedford Township? You do Karen Ray.
Yeah. I own a number of in not only in Bedford, but in lots of places.
Okay, wonderful. It's very good friends with Karen. Passed away, all right.
Karen or
Yeah, they should start.
That might have, no. 5 minutes. That's a good thing, though. That's a good thing. It would take 5 minutes.
I don't know if I.
They're chatting, she's gonna need 5 minutes until he's gone.
Barbara is living in her house.
Oh, well, that's, I mean, that's one.
And that was a decision between her brother and Beauty House. Barbara was the daughter.
I wonder why.
That's, a lot of people that.
I don't know if she did.
And it all snuck up on us at once. No, our primary residence is we own a lake called Highlight. Near Plain Road. We own that. We own primary house here.
First Amendment on
Nice weather.
platforms, and you'll see all.
Nice weather.
That's a good plan.
Well, it's a 20-minute drive.
They're not letting anybody do it. That's not bad.
No, my wife can tolerate that. Well, she would, while I was about we bought it
There's nothing they can do about it.
yeah, when they get full of it. We use this,
They can write like everybody else and that'll create red.
yes.
But it's not that bad.
Maybe I'll take ours out.
Oh, yeah.
How many more minutes is this gonna be?
I guess you're trying to set it.
Right? No. When I retired,
Like I told the officer.
Barb, you want that coat?
No, I told the officer, I said, you're dismissed, you can go now.
How much longer till we start back up? We still, I thought it was a 5 minute.
Amy White, what?
Settle back down.
Otherwise I'll have. No, man, I can't. Julie gets hold of it.
Okay, did you want that coat?
No, thank you, but I appreciate you asking.
I have lots.
I'm hoping my grandkids go to Marshall and
How many kids do you have?
my children said they didn't want, the one that has two, they didn't want the two, they wanted one. It's a good thing they had. Oh, well, you've been retired for how long?
Since 2010. And Dan's been retired since 2004. Took on a second job. Second career.
Oh, yeah.
And we're
I must have stuck at Pembroke, somebody shut that door. Yeah, I'll probably later on tonight.
Okay.
Hey, honey, can you help me with that?
Well, that's good, that's good, yeah.
We will resume the meeting at 7:29 PM, no longer than a 5-minute recess. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening? On agenda items only. Oh, for 3 minutes. Anyone? Okay, seeing none, we will move on with the agenda. Next is number 9, the communications, they're all listed there. Been in your packet. And then number 10 is finances. Resolution 08-18-2259, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to approve payment of expenses totaling $370,716.34. Okay, discussion? Questions? It was a big month, but we had 2 payments for county dispatch. We had police quarterly payment. Do a double check, but it's all okay. So any other discussion or questions on resolution? Okay. Roll call?
Treasurer Miller. Yes. Trustee Hires.
Yes.
Trustee Beamish.
Yes.
Trustee Greenwood.
Yes.
Trustee Dingman.
Yes.
Supervisor Jones.
Yes.
Clerk Bracco. Yes. 7 yes, motion carried.
Okay, next we have our public health and safety reports. For police, Officer LaValle is not here tonight, but we have Officer Matthews. Welcome. Thank you.
So I guess we're just gonna go over a couple of the alarms, or I'm sorry, the calls that have the highest numbers for response. So there was 14 alarm calls, 28 animal complaints, 20 domestic troubles, 21 other person troubles, and 13 unwanted persons. There's the total for the calls in the Bedford area of dispatch calls was 302. The total number was self-initiated was 393. The average dispatch time was about 13 minutes for those calls, and the average response time was about 12 minutes. And then the average call time total was about 59 minutes. As far as the neighborhood, as it's divided into neighborhoods, we have 9 total. Bedford, right between the Department of 2 crimes, which is the violent crimes and the property crimes. It's 6th out of those 9. And those hearings that you had.
Did that seem like a lot of animal calls this time? I noted that when I got the report, 28. It was like one of the highest percentages of calls you got.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I didn't look at last month's, numbers compared to this current month's. Animal complaints can be a variety from, like a dog at large, it can be type complaint, or it can be, like someone finding a stray and then wanting to have animal control or one of us pick it up and then bring it to the animal shelter. So that includes all of those, any type of animal call.
Okay.
An animal bite itself.
Okay.
Thank you.
And next we have, is Chief here? What is started? Oh, there he is. How did I miss you?
Hiding.
Where you live?
Yeah, hiding from all this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you didn't usually see it, because he up there, but not over here, but down Nate, a month, and then there's medicals, which they do every month. A lot of them, around 58 medicals the last month. I've been there right now, we're at the rate 174 calls for the month. So this is just the first part of September. Get in there, we will be 100 or 1,000 by the end of the year, I think, again, up in there. And medicals, once we started, they're moving right along, and can't stop them. But fires, just a few days ago and stuff, we had a big garage fire over here on Woodside and stuff in there. If anybody was in this area, they probably could have seen all the black smoke and stuff, and maybe the flames coming up in there, but the individual went and burned a stump outside the garage. He was burning, and he went in the house, and apparently something caught on fire, sparked something in the garage, and he had some cars in there, old cars in there, and a lot of other stuff. Well, when they got the call, the guys there was fully engulfed, there was nothing could be saved. I mean, it took a little while, we put her out, and everything was lost on it and stuff in there. The siding on his house was vinyl, and not enough heat went across there, probably 30 feet across there, kind of made the waves on his house like he was on an ocean or something, so vinyl was pretty well all gone and stuff in there. That was, I think, about the most one that we had in the last month here and stuff going in there. We got 2 individuals on the department that will be starting 240-hour class for firefighters here, which is going to be holding right in our department this year. Some other outlying departments will have people in it, and it'll all be taken care of right here in our own department. Here, our officers within our department and stuff will be doing the training for them and stuff on there. Next spring, the test will come up on them, and they have to take a written test. Some individual from state, Lansing will come down. They have to take a just written test and a physical part test of ladders, putting SCBAs on and things like that, or tying knots and stuff like that. So if they pass that all and get on into there, with over 70% stuff, they will be certified to firefighters, and they'll be able to do a lot more work than they're doing at this time. We cannot use them inside the building or anything like that and stuff until they get certified. They're more or less gophers at this time, going doing this and that. We do train them when we have our training every month out here. We do train them on things so they're familiar with the engines and stuff and how to draft and everything onto that and stuff. So before they get certified, they are pretty well knowledgeable of that, same with other things on the trucks and stuff out there. Pretty well takes a lot of that. One of the main things we finally got it settled, I hope, is the spaghetti dinner in Bedford. We've bounced around on a lot of dates and stuff, but the final date, I guess, is the 15th of October. It will take place down at the Lions Club. If you've been to the dinners before, that's where it will be, right by the park down there. It'll be from 4 o'clock to 7. $7 for adults, and children 12 to $3. So we usually have a pretty good crowd that comes there. All that money, it goes into the fire department for buying equipment and stuff that we can use that have been outdated, or keep the safety of the individuals and stuff, because that's the main thing is safety of our men and stuff on the fire department. We ordered some gear a year ago, some new gear for suits, bunker pants, Canada, and it hasn't got here yet. So it's $2,500 it was for a suit, for the last time I ordered some, it was back in quite a few years ago and stuff, it was 15, and then it was 2,200, now, last year, a year ago, it was 25, so I hate to think about ordering some now when they're gonna cost probably a good $3,000 for a pair of pants and coat. These are expensive out here. Any questions?
Trace them?
Good, I don't have to answer them.
Larry, Larry, did you trace those?
Did I?
Did you put a trace on them? You sure they're in Canada?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, take care of me.
Do something else. Okay, thank you. Next is building official, Mark Hires.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Still, the department's very busy. Kara's been busier than us, but in the last month, I completed 44 inspections. That's a lot for a person. But it's going very well, a fair amount of commercial, quite a bit of residential, some new homes coming, a house that's being renovated, to the point that it's basically a new home, so, a lot of things going well, a lot of houses being fixed up, a lot of renovations, it's really good for the township. Any questions specifically? Thank you.
Thank you. And then building and zoning, Kara Daugherty.
So the totals for the month between building permits, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing total 34. That adds up to $8,165.16. I did 10 zoning reviews this month. We have 2 conditional use permits that are pending. One that we're supposed to vote on tonight, the board is, and the other one is, will be set for the end of the month with the planning commission meeting. Those are both for marijuana facilities. We have 1 variance application in to be heard roughly the early part of October. I'm told there will be another one being submitted. We have a new PZE process that BSNA came in and helped us set up throughout the year. Some of the processes weren't put in the software correctly. So they have helped me get that situated and things put where they're supposed to be. And in doing that, we are just a few setup steps away from being able to have our permits available online to be filled out and paid for, which will make things much easier for the residents and the contractors. Lastly, the clerk and I have been working with the CRA on some of the marijuana regulations and standards, getting to know that process a little better. We've been out on 2 property visits and learned quite a bit, and that's been enlightening. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, and then we would have, there's nothing really to update from the assessor. She does plan to start coming every other month to give updates. And then our blight official, Mike Savio, couldn't be here tonight. He did give me a quick rundown. He's hesitant to actually disclose where specifically all of the work is being done in various areas, but they have closed out 4 court-ordered cleanups this month, within this last month, and closed out 19 blight ordinances, and they're currently working blight complaints. And I think our attorney would attest to how busy Mike is with all that. But again, we're getting a lot of compliments from township residents who live in these areas for that things are looking much better. And so we're pleased with that. Planning Commission, liaison trustee Beamish.
Oh, we're still working master plan stuff. We had a public hearing for Evolution Grove. It's on the agenda tonight. They want to add processing to their current business, which is allowed in the industrial zone. This is another layer of work and another layer of business in the township.
Okay, Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, I didn't think she was gonna be here, but here she is. Do you wanna go first?
So I apologize for my tired. But, so we did not have a meeting since your last meeting, so I haven't really actually talked to the committee yet. Our next meeting, and we would love an audience like this, is Monday at 7. We are working, I sent an email to the committee, I spoke to Lieutenant Bagwell. We're thinking for the parade, we'll start at the virtual school and then come down that street, go around the triangle in the village and then back up. And then we'll allow the tractors to park up there so everyone can ooh and ah. The director of the virtual school is okay with it. She's just verifying with the superintendent. We have a new superintendent apparently, that he's okay with that as well. Once we get her okay, then we're gonna speak to the businesses in that area so that we can see if they want to be open or do something so that we can draw business. Or if they wanna, advertise or something. I did hear about the graffiti at the park, which is very disheartening with all the work that we've been doing. So hopefully we can get that all cleaned up in time for the fall festival. We are still accepting surveys until the end of the tax season, and Erica might be able to hand out the survey forms when she's collecting the remainder of the taxes, which would be huge. And we will use those for our new master plan and future improvements in activities. So that's all I have.
For anyone that's from other areas of the township, the virtual school is where?
By the Lions Club, just up that street further. I don't actually know.
It was Bedford Elementary.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I'm too marginal. Sorry. I don't know.
And that is, you probably said this.
No, I didn't. The 22nd.
22nd of October.
Yeah, and I don't have times yet. We're still making sure all the businesses in the area are okay with it before we start shutting things down.
So that's our fall fest, in case you didn't hear that before. We're gonna have back-to-back weekends, of Bedford weekends. 15th is the fire spaghetti dinner, and then the 22nd is the fall fest, so we're gonna live it up in October. Okay, so next is legislative and intergovernmental relations. We do have our commissioner, Steve Frisbee here.
Good evening. Our biggest challenge right now is wrangling in the budget for the upcoming year. We have to pass a balanced budget by law, so that's never been a problem. In the 12 years that I've been in office, we've been able to put money away in the general fund savings every year but one. So our goal is to always be able to do that. You have to continue with appropriate capital purchases. If you're not repairing things, as Mark will tell you, if you don't replace the roof in the right amount of time, suddenly it's more than a repair, it's a replacement. So continue to do those things. We're about $4.3 million off from closing the gap, which is smaller than we normally. We're normally between 5 and 6 in closing the gap million. How we control the budget of elected officials. First of all, they work with us very closely. The elected officials and appointed county department heads, the courts are awesome in working with us and getting the balanced budgets. But we control that throughout the process of the year by full-time equivalents. So full-time equivalents are a full-time position, and we monitor those, and if they want to increase them, they're allotted so many in the budget process and a budget note or a letter, an agreement, and if they want to change that, they have to find the dollars to be able to do it, and have to have approval of the county commission. So that process has worked for the last 12 years, and it allows elected officials like the sheriff, the prosecutor, the clerk, the treasurer, water resources commissioner to run their department that they feel appropriate and constitutionally mandated to do, and gives them freedom to be able to operate dollars in there. So that's our largest task moving on. We just did approve the county's health department budget that was due, it goes on October 1 with the state. The majority of the funds comes from the state. We have a lot of funds in our fund balance there. And we used it to potentially increase some school nurse stuff, students, and also remain active in the COVID response. So a lot of those dollars come with COVID tags to be able to continue to do those things. So, those are our challenges.
Board members have questions for Commissioner Frisbee?
Didn't you guys roll out a recycling program or something?
Yes, I'll get you all the details, because I missed some of them. But I can get them sent over about what it is and how we're gonna do it.
Are you familiar with that?
No, it's for,
Solid waste recycling.
it's at one center.
It's gonna be a mobile kind of thing.
Oh, so you would bring it over to?
Yeah, but it would be manned. So it's a device where I believe we can take it out and it'll be manned by our folks at the county. The biggest problem we've always had in recycling, and we experienced it here, is it's commingled with regular trash because nobody can watch it 24/7. Which then
Which
makes
is
it,
why ours will be locked except for where we have the designated times.
and where that all ended up was in the landfill, because it's more costly to separate it, and nobody had the funds to do that. So this is a way, we still have the vouchers available to be able to use for landfill. And once that is more up and running, Barry, I'll get the info to you folks, so you can share that around.
Yeah, we would, I think that would maybe supplement ours, because with 26 townships, or whatever, 26 or villages and townships combined,
Yeah.
for the county, I would think that we would be getting it very frequently.
No, it's gonna be limited in what we can do.
But
with the
it would
budgets we have.
supplement ours, so
Right.
that's good.
But I encourage people to continue to do it, and if you separate it and save it, you have a place to save it safely and cleanly, then take it up.
It looks like ours will be, we will be able to commingle recyclables, so cardboard from glass, from, we can't commingle garbage,
Right.
but we can commingle all the recyclables, so I think that will make it a little easier for our residents too. So,
I think the recyclable market is finally coming back to life. So, before COVID hit, it had bottomed out, nobody wanted to buy it. So, part of the problem.
Good.
Right.
That's good news. Good news. Thank you.
I do have, I don't know if you talked to Jim Dyer about the Arbor Park.
Our attorney did, and I had spoken with him several months ago when we did it, so I think there's just some confusion as
I
to.
think we're gonna work together to get some things addressed right away. I think there's still some legal hurdles to get through. It was originally a county drain. So that was what it was turned over at one point, way back then.
Ardmore Park was a county drain?
It
Oh,
still
really?
is. It still is part of a county drain, because the lowest part is where water assembles from drains. So we got a little more work to do, but we'll work together to meet the needs through the end of the mowing season and things like that.
Yes.
See if we can't work together. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be talking.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Okay, unfinished business, and this is under, oh.
Well, yeah, I talked to Jim Dyer today,
Okay.
and I just asked for some additional information that I think will help provide some clarification.
Okay.
I think we should get that in a month, and when I receive it, I'll forward it on to Jonesy.
Right, I mean, apparently there had been some talk that there was, we in our records can't find a lease agreement other than the most recent one was 2020. And, so it looked almost like it had maybe been a gentleman's agreement before that, but if there is 1960s documentation, we'd love to see that too. So, and go from there and make it a good one.
And we just need to work together to make it presentable for the rest of
I
us.
agree, and our concern had always been that we get like 26,000 some odd dollars for parks and village. And, it had to be spread across the 6 parks that we do own.
Yep.
And try to maintain, that's pittance. So then trying to take care of one that is actually owned by the county is, without any reimbursement from the county is an issue.
Apparently, it's a very active park in the summertime.
Mhm.
on the weekends. So
It is.
you're not usually by there on the weekends. So
Right, it is, and, we've had a lot of residents calling and complaining, and so we wanna sort this out too. We have one full-time building and grounds person to take care of 3 cemeteries, 6 parks. It's tough, so we'll work with you.
We'll get it.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. All right, then under unfinished business, this is unfinished because we've spoken about this quite a while ago, and it's actually been, even when I was a trustee, we had played around with this idea of presenting and talking about, getting a feel for a superintendent management model of township governance. And more townships are moving to this model because it is, township government has gotten quite complicated, and there are requirements and things coming down from new state laws and everything else that a certain skill set, a certain level of knowledge from individuals who are in office. And so, obviously, we know anyone can run for office, and sadly, we don't always elect people who have those skill sets, or the people who have those skill sets aren't running for office. And that's not disparaging anyone, that's just the truth. So we have toyed with this idea that if we put in place something like what Steve has at the county with the county administrator, something like a superintendent manager, who would be like a day-to-day operations CEO, overseeing what's happening, and then also making sure that we don't lose sight every election year or every 2 years when we have a changeover of, lately we've had a changeover of supervisors. That hurts us. We take several steps back every time that happens because we have to regroup, we've got new dynamics, and if we had a superintendent manager, that person could, with the right skill sets, that we would hire based on what those skill sets are. It would be an employee. I see this, I shouldn't speak for the board, I don't know where they are. I see this as a step towards continuity, a step towards someone who would be here in the office every day, who would be leading. And so we have before us, and it was in the packet, a memo from Sept, our attorney. I don't know if you want to summarize anything?
I can summarize if that's okay.
Okay.
All right, so our office was asked to just provide a brief memo regarding what a township superintendent and township manager is. And I think Johnny did a pretty good job of explaining someone who would be at the township handling the day-to-day business. Your township is open to the public quite a bit. You're open, I think, 4 days a week, 7:30 to 4:30. So I mean, that's a fairly accessible township. And I think, as we all know, a lot of, like, you, for example, you're a professor, so you're not always here, for 40 hours, and I don't think that matters anyway, because most officials don't have like a regular, what am I trying to say, office hours that they're supposed to be in. So, a superintendent or a manager does provide just that day-to-day presence. It does provide some sort of continuity for management of the office, and it'll basically run through the difference issues between superintendent and manager. There are 2 offices that are provided for in Charter Township Act. Superintendent is under MCL 4210. Township manager is under 42.1A. And if you look through, the big differences between the 2, I think functionally it's the same, but the major difference that you need to know between both things, the superintendent, the township board delegates what duties the superintendent has. Okay, so it wouldn't necessarily necessarily be the supervisor's decision to say, okay, you get duties A, B, C, and D. No, the board decides that, okay? As with manager, the difference is that the supervisor has to delegate those duties. Discretion with manager, because that's more called the court of what the supervisor wants to delegate. So you can see what, I summarized the paragraph as a codification out from the statute, A through O, what those statutory duties are. The two duties that the supervisor can't delegate would be chairing the meeting, if you are now, and the second one would be secretary of the board. So you still have things in that way. We were asked to, under the charter township act superintendent, we were asked about residency requirements. And I do believe the statute says, MCL 42.11, it does have a residency requirement, however, that residency requirement may be waived by resolution. So, just off the top of my head, the superintendent said that, work with other municipalities represent, don't live where they serve as superintendent, so that's within your discretion. Okay, both of these offices are in your discretion, whether or not you want to go that route. The other thing that's brought, is cost. I haven't really looked into, I think it's got a little bit ahead of where we are, what it would cost. That's obviously, board decision. We have to research that from the number. But I mean, there are ways to defray that. For example, with money you get from marijuana licensing, that comes in every year. I know some of that's used to help defray the salary of the zoning administrator. Completely acceptable. I also think you can use some of that money to help defray the costs of the superintendent, both the zoning administrator and the superintendent would be working, with marijuana facilities. Probably pretty good. We were asked to look at whether a township public official can take a reduction of pay, and the answer to that question is yes, if that's what you want to do. That's under MCL 42.6A per N6, and that states that you could do it, it has to be in writing, and you do have to delegate some of your duties, so it'd be a reduction of what your duties are. The supervisor is now, but that would be something that you have to look at if that's something you're interested in doing, and coming to a number, you felt was reasonable. The only thing I would recommend is if you decide to take, if the board does go in this direction, and if you decide to take a reduction of pay, when the township sets salaries, just do it in enough time, that way, whenever the 24 election rolls around, people know. If it's you or somebody else, whatever it is, the person knows what the salary is going to be, so they know what the expectation is, before they decide whether or not to run. That's something that I think is advised as well. There would be an employment contract. Our office has relatively recently negotiated employment contracts for a manager and for a superintendent. So we would use that as a pretty good starting point. In other words, we wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. Agreements have been in place for several years now. So, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Board members?
So the thought is that if a superintendent was hired effectively, supervisor would give up most of the duties and salary, so there wouldn't be a duplicity, so we're not paying two people, right? I mean, that's very important. I mean, the whole push in this is to hire someone that has a skill set to get through the complex, as we now know, very complex legal statutes that we have to do, and having someone trained to do that in their full time. But the supervisor would still be elected, there'd still be something on the board, and the board could hire or fire that manager if they did not.
They don't have a vote on the board. The superintendent doesn't have a vote.
It's the same as a city manager type. We have city manager, you still have a mayor. The mayor is more of a.
However you would market any other position at the township.
Right.
Recommend whatever that may be, publish in the newspaper, on the website, if you have a social media account, allow some time for applications, maybe before you evaluate, applicant, and then introduce it. I mean, yeah, they have to be done resume.
Correct. And so I agree, I think that, if this is the route that the board decide, this is just deliberation tonight, but if that's the way we think that would be best for the township, I agree, we need to get it in place, ideally while I'm still here, so that, because I'm more than willing to take a reduction in salary to to that person who would be assuming all of those duties. And then I would see myself still having a lot of, interaction with that individual, but, not being in the office every day and presiding over the meetings, maybe going to some of the, intergovernmental meetings and that type of thing as a liaison, but, and if we have this in place well enough before the next election, so that it is communicated well to residents who are considering running for these positions, they are well aware that that particular elected position does not have that salary, it does not have those benefits. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, it's very important.
Okay, other questions?
I just want to point out the elected position is still there, so representation for the citizens is still there.
The representation, the power, and I have heard that from a couple citizens, like, well, you're giving up your power, why would you want to do that? No, we're not at all. Only if you decide you're not going to study what's in front of you, and I think all of this board does a good job. We do our, still be engaged with every decision that was coming before the board. So it's not, I think this would be a win for citizens because we don't have that turnover, that ends up in chaos for a period of time with the township, so that they can't move forward, that they've got this vision, and especially right now, we're working on this really exciting master plan. The planning commission is working with McKenna. It's gonna be great. Possibilities. And the idea that then we're gonna keep having turnover without somebody, a captain of the ship that might stay for 10 years is, that's worrisome to me. So, that's my thought. You can tell that I'm a little more of a fan. So I'm not hiding my cards here. I think it would be beneficial for the township. And I think Northville has done, there's all kinds of townships in it. And actually, MTA probably has the actual numbers, but it looked like from the 2000s on, it was increasing. And I think it's directly related to or correlated to what these little micro burdens that keep getting put on townships in terms of now do this and now report this and make sure you've done that. And when you're a 6-person office, full-time office with, and not everybody has those skill sets, that's scary sometimes. Anyway, that's where I am with that. Anybody else want to say anything?
But then again, the superintendent would only make recommendations to the board.
Exactly, they are advising, and honestly, we still would have to do our due diligence and make sure that was good information. You always want to go back to the primary source and say, was that real? Where did you get that information? But I think we all do that already, so that would continue. Does anyone see any disadvantages?
I would just like clarification on what that would look like with a deputy, and then something that.
Oh, there would be no, for the supervisor would not.
It would replace the deputy.
No, it's in a new position.
The deputy would not probably, that position, and it's a fraction of what Kira does right now, but that position would not be needed.
That's what I want clarification on, and then also the part about marijuana, would that mean we would use a superintendent instead of a marijuana administrator?
Well, no. You still need a marijuana administrator, but the money coming in from licensing fees could be used because that individual would have some oversight. They would not be the person like Kira going out and helping with inspections and that type of thing. But you could maybe bolster a salary with that money to entice someone. If you got someone with the right skill set and you want to keep them, it might be worth it to use a portion of that money for that salary.
Well, the board would set that.
They're not
the board would set
required.
that Salary.
Right, the board would set it, if, I mean, I suppose the supervisor could, but there would be, if the supervisor had stepped back from most of those statutory duties, other than serving on the board of review and presiding over the meetings and getting the agenda ready, they're probably not going to need the assistant, because they don't have all those other duties, does that make sense? So,
So what would be our next step if we wanted to do this?
To do it, I would think maybe looking at preparing a job description, try to figure out what your qualifications would be, maybe research what you think, like a salary range you're comfortable with. You probably have to look around and see. I know you've got some managers in townships, nearby municipalities. What's that for, about 12,000, 10,000?
9,500.
Okay, so
700.
we'd have to look and see what that, would entail, and then probably get some sort of board action. Posting, the job description and figuring out a timeline to accept applications. That would be a good direction.
Okay. And then, I guess we had talked a little bit about in certain townships that have done this have established an ordinance creating this, just because it's a slight change in the model of governance. Is that advisable, or could we do that at a later date? We would just pass this as a resolution and
Yeah.
then possibly later, commit it to an ordinance?
You could, it's not statutorily required, but I am aware there's several municipalities that have adopted an ordinance, and it just, by ordinance creates a position, and if you want to adopt one, you could, and, later if you want to repeal it, you could.
Okay.
So, that's certainly an option.
Okay. Mark, any thoughts?
No, I just want to make sure that this is a slow process and that the residents get a chance to weigh in on it. That's why we're discussing it tonight, not trying to push it anything forward. It's just a discussion that's been out there that,
And anyone is free to talk about this, this evening at the public comment too, so. And they'll have opportunity at next meeting. Okay, Erica, any thoughts, questions, concerns?
I do think it's a good idea to have exactly what you said with the office turnover and all that, somebody to come up to. Because there are no directions or anything.
One last thing I'll say about it is like,
Dive in.
there's so many issues that come up. If, these sewer, water, or PFAS, right? I don't know if solar's knocking on your door yet,
Yeah,
that's
it is.
everywhere, okay? And that day-to-day presence could at least handle, marijuana, they're gonna be calling, if they could, probably calling care of. They have an administrator who'd be calling care of, and the superintendent, the paramedic, the point person, superintendent's also, gonna be involved. I don't think care's probably.
It's good.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are just my opinions, what I see.
Mr. Greenwood, anything else?
I do think that's a good idea for continuance of information for, I know as each supervisor left, there were holes left to fill and to figure out where that person had ended. So I think it would be good. I like the idea of going slow so that we're thorough and not rushing into it. But I can see how it would be a cost for sure.
Yeah, I would just like the continuity, and, I know for myself, I know retail, doing for 21 years, but being elected supervisor, first time that, I don't think I would run, don't have enough time, but I can't imagine stepping in and trying to take over the municipality type of stuff. So someone that would, that more trained, focused on that.
Trustee Greenwood, anything else?
I just want to make it real clear to everybody, we keep mentioning, let's go slow. This is not really slow. The person out there that's been on previous boards, it's been talked on previous boards, for all the reasons Joni's mentioned. The world's gotten more complicated, we've got more laws. Issues now we have to deal with contaminants and licensing, and you can't just get a bunch of elected people that own construction business or work for the county, courthouse or hardware, and know anything about that. Talked about this prior, it's been what we've been wanting to move towards. It's just, you have to deal with issues as they come up, and with all the big things coming up, it's gone slower than I would have hoped. I was also moving out before. It will get a professional manager, you don't have to pay while you're training to do the job. And again, if you get somebody in here and they just aren't a good fit, well, you know, then we can ask them to move along and try to find somebody that fits our community and the current needs we have, the emergencies we have, or whatever the next contaminant that comes along. So we can find the person that's best fit to us. And again, we're not, paying to train on the job. I mean, I would never run for supervisor, and that's all the tea in China. I was so arrogant to think I could ever do it. I don't have any public administration experience. Okay, and a lot of people think they do, and once they get in, so this way, if it's not a good fit, without having any ill feelings, we can move forward and find a better fit.
All right, well, I guess that concludes our discussion on that, and then we will discuss a little bit with our lawyer about next steps for next month. Okay. And in the meantime, honestly, anyone who has questions, who wants to, even if you don't want to speak in public comment, if you want to call, and discuss what you feel about it as a citizen, or talk to your neighbors, we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Okay, so on to number 12, petitions and new business, resolution 0908-2260, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to establish millage at .8604 for general operating on all property within the Charter Township of Bedford. In addition, the clerk is to notify the assessor by September 30th, 2022 to levy and spread for general operations. The millage will generate approximately $187,343.46 for the year 2022. Do I have a motion? Beamish. Discussion.
Just want to make sure, I assume this was the renewal.
This is based on our 2022, these are the 4029s that we do every year, and it's based on that state equalization value, that we get the taxable value and the allocated millage within its choice bingo. We did the one for special police operating and fire operating last month. Yeah, that's what these are. Actually, it goes down a little bit, each year because of that little thing there. Okay, questions? Other questions? Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Trustee Hires.
Yes.
Trustee Beamish.
Yes.
Trustee Greenwood.
Yes.
Trustee Dingman.
Yes.
Supervisor Jones.
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Treasurer Miller. Yes. 7 yes, motion carried.
All right, resolution 0908-2261, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to establish a fire department village at 1.9450, which was voted on 8/7 for fire operating on all property within the Charter Township of Bedford. In addition, the clerk is to notify the assessor by September 30th, 2022 to levy and spread for fire operations. The millage will generate approximately $423,504.24 for the year 2022. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Greenwood?
Second.
Miller? Okay, discussion.
Just want to make sure it's clear. This is
It's a renewal.
additional.
No, this is based on the equalization. Yeah, it's our 4029s. Okay, any other questions, concerns? Okay, roll call.
Trustee Beamish.
Yes.
Trustee Greenwood.
Yes.
Trustee Dingman.
Yes.
Supervisor Jones.
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Treasurer Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Hires.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carried.
Okay, thank you. Resolution 0908-2262, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to hire Jason Rhodes for full-time building grounds maintenance of township properties beginning September 15th, 2022, for a salary of $37,500 plus benefits Performance will be evaluated in 90 days post-hire. Do I have a motion? Motion? Anyone? Bingham? Okay, discussion.
Just want to make sure you've got postings where you found this gentleman.
This was, yeah, it was posted actually back, it was posted when late March. And we didn't have any, we had bids from companies at that point, I think AHS and, Gardner Brothers. And they were quite excessive, we didn't move on it at that point, and it had been put out, not necessarily just for companies, but we would, just, we need help with the grounds and maintenance. And, so this individual, like out of the blue, knew about the posting and had been playing with the idea of it. And then, did he go through the?
We've driven through the cemetery multiple times.
And
Just wanted to see how
and actually
it worked.
talked to Mike, and, Ben came in and was interested. And so he's on right now on 2 weeks of part-time where, Kevin is working with him, and they're very impressed already with his work ethic. So again, he'll be reevaluated in 90 days post-hire.
So will we be the only full-time then?
He'll be the only full-time, just like, because Kevin will be gone. Kevin was kind of back helping us in the summer with Mike, and Kevin was working part-time, doing some part-time hours to help Mike. Mike's part-time, so, Mike would stay part-time, this gentleman would be full-time. And we've used, a young guy, 18, is he 16 or 17? During the summer to fill in and help with mowing and things like that for Mike and Kevin, and he's back to school now, so he won't be part of it. So I thought maybe he would be scared off from all the work. That cemetery is not easy to mow or weed with, and then when you consider there's 2 others, and then you have the parks, and so it's a huge job. It's a huge job, but he was very excited to get started.
So did you interview?
Joyce and I did. Okay, any other questions, discussion?
It was my understanding that Mike did want to take over full-time and fill Kevin's shoes.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes. And I think he would admit to you as well that he liked, Kevin was kind of the leader of so I think that we were really pleased because they're all getting along really, really well and working. I think it's gonna be a win-win for everyone. So. Okay, seeing no other questions, roll call vote.
Trustee Greenwood.
Yes.
Trustee Dingwall.
Yes.
Supervisor Jones.
Yes.
Clerk Bronco, yes. Treasurer Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Hires.
Yes.
Trustee Beamish.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carried.
Okay, thank you. Next resolution is 0908-2263, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to accept the Planning Commission's recommendation to approve the conditional use permit for 1102 River Road West as a medical and recreational processing facility. This will allow all operations in one central location. Okay. Beamish? Beamish and Dingman? Discussion.
My understanding is they're gonna move their operations from the city of Bedford to Charter Township, right?
They are doing off-site now.
So they're gonna have.
They're
doing a building, but they don't building only for storage at this point unless it gets approved.
Right.
We've got a pretty decent neighbor, pretty transparent with their operations. Several people that
It's
toured the
very
facility.
clean, yeah, very clean, very sterile almost, yeah. So anything else you wanted to add here?
No, they just apologized that they couldn't be here tonight. They ended up with last minute scheduling problems, so they just, I guess, me or you had questions for me to answer on the behalf. They just apologize for that.
Great, okay. Any other questions?
I'm sorry, up on Act 281, it's 333.27502, Section 502, subsection 2A and B. From my understanding, since they've already been an existing grow, if they add processing, they don't have to get a license to export. So it's advantageous for them to do it, but they have been operating since 2019. So just clarification.
Just, I'm excited to see, industry in our industrial zone area. And I would hope that, a professional superintendent, if we live that way, would be able to continue to try to attract more business, which is more revenue. For Bedford.
Yes, definitely. Okay, roll call vote?
Trustee Dingman.
Yes.
Supervisor Jones.
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Treasurer Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Hires.
Yes.
Trustee Beamish.
Yes.
Trustee Greenwood.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carried.
Okay, thank you. Last resolution, 09082264, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to accept the contract with Life Care Ambulance as attached, and that was in your packet for review. Do you have a motion? Damon?
Support.
Damon Beamish? Okay, discussion?
This is more of a right to operate within our municipality, correct?
Right, it's still the preferred provider, within the municipality, and they added some, language to it, at my request, just to provide us with metrics for response times. We're not gonna link that to consequences or anything, because obviously understaffing does make things difficult right now. But we will have quarterly reports, so just to kind of be watching what that is, and then they'll also share their own quality metrics with us quarterly.
In our journey of reviews contract.
Right, yes. Okay, any other discussions? Questions? Okay, roll call vote?
Supervisor Jones.
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Treasurer Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Hires.
Yes.
Trustee Beamish.
Yes.
Trustee Greenwood.
Yes.
Trustee Dingman.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carried.
Okay, thank you. And now we're to our last public comment. At this time, you can come to the podium and have 3 minutes to speak on anything that you would like. Did you, Barb?
Yes, thank you. Barb Jones, and no, Joni and I aren't relatives. No, we look like sisters, but, okay, so, what I wanted to talk about briefly was, there was in the previous meeting, there was a lady in the audience that mentioned the $150 that we were paying for our roads, which has stopped. 2 years now, Erica? Yeah. And it's just been bugging me, because I was one of those people on that road committee, which has disbanded, of course. A few already passed away. So we have no one now to really get into this road, and at the time, I remember that we were informed by the county and even other representatives that those roads are gonna need maintenance. Now, as Mr. Frisbee said, you either repair or you replace. Replacing is terribly expensive, terribly expensive. We're gonna need to think about in the township, something to do to have a fund set aside for repair. For maintenance, because every 3 or 4 years, you gotta have sill coat, you gotta have all, things done to these roads, or they're gonna crumble again. I'm looking down the road, I may not even be here by that time, but every 5 years, those roads need repair work done. And, so I just wanted to bring that up, because even in talking about, the superintendent, which I think is an excellent idea, I'm hoping that some of the marijuana money could maybe be set aside for roads, or for some kind of fund set aside for that particular reason. What
to bring that up. Something else I wanted to talk about with that. Okay, so pretty much that, I really wanted to bring up the roads, and, thank you for that. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay,
Couple of things that just, most of you had your email for the mobile recycling.
Oh, yeah.
in Texas.
Oh, good.
Sure. So there's a link about the story, and it's gonna start off September 1.
You didn't start the clock.
And, thank you. Did I follow the rules here? Sorry. No problem. So it starts September 1st, and it's gonna go into rural communities first, that are the furthest away from the landfill.
Oh, rural.
Looks like it, yeah, it'll work its way around. Second thing is the officer who gave the report, and I'll be darned if I can remember.
Officer Matthews.
Because I need one of these devices coming up. She was at a training offered by Mouse for Memories, as a representative at the police department in York, Dearborn, York. Police office. And, we have made available through Miles for Memories, which is a completely volunteer organization of which I'm part of. We raise funds for local initiatives in dementia primarily. But we also got about a $500,000 grant from Michigan Health Endowment Fund. And what we did with those was create bracelets with UPC codes on them. And we now have what's called a nugget, which also can be used for location. And we also have a watch option now, which you can put on different places in the body to so choose. But it's a way that, in a volunteer way, that you can sign yourself up, or your family can sign you up if you're a wanderer. And it's just a great way to reconnect somebody who's wandered. So it's anybody at risk. It could be young autistic children. It could be, elderly dementia patients. So think about that. We could host something out here. The Bedford Police Department can help us with registration. And you put in what you want the information to be and be accessible through that UPC code. Or you can track it through a phone, or you can turn it over to like a 911 center and say, I don't have the ability to activate this account. And we help find it. So we've already returned over 130 people in Calhoun County with just the UPC code. And those are people that were gonna end up in an ambulance, in the back of a police car, in an ER, trading thousands of dollars, because if you're a physician, you estimate it's confused, you go through the workup. So our goal is to create a way that unite families who could get lost, who wander, and get them back.
That's a great idea. Yeah, let's set something up so we can. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Coach.
Basically, I only want to talk on two items, out of Colonial Drive. There was a conversation about superintendent use of marijuana money for funds to help pay for that, whatever the case. I dissent on that. I think that anybody that you guys want to bring in to run as a superintendent is great, but I think it ought to be an elected position by the people to decide whether or not that individual should or should not take the position as superintendent. And the reason I believe that is because everything should be elected. That's why we are here. If nobody here was needed to be elected, then what would be the purpose of the people making any comments or otherwise? So that's why I don't agree with the board deciding who's gonna be the superintendent. On a second note, I think it's time right now that we start looking at mutual aid as far as a fire department not fire department, my apologies, police department to take on the role as an independent police department here in Bedford, like they have in Gus and a lot of other places. And that their primary job is a police officer, secondary is a first responder if they come into an accident, that they have EMT background training or fire department fire common stuff until the fire department can show up, or until the EMT can show up to assist this individual. And at that point, then of course they back off because that's not their primary role. That'd be their secondary. And I think that that ought to be handled and taken care of by the people, and that the officers should be elected positions, 4 years, whatever, and that they're accountable to the people.
I think it's very important that they're accountable to the people, not necessarily to the board or whatever, but to the people themselves, because they work for the people, all right? And I think they need to be deputized by either a sheriff's department or something to that, elected and deputized. And if they need assistance, they can get that assistance from the sheriff's department, because sheriff's department handles all of Calhoun County, which means includes Bedford Township and all the area that they could act as a backup. So that's my suggestion, so.
Can I just ask a point of clarification, Steve? So, did you say you thought the police officers should be elected?
I think they should be brought in here, and then the people should decide whether or not they want them as a police officer.
So,
When they first
so you're
elect-
talking about kind of an interview process?
Thank you, through the people. I mean, they can come up here in front of the people and they can say what their background is, and then the people here that are here presently can say aye or nay. And if it sounds like that individual is a great person to have as a police officer, then we hire them.
Okay.
Okay, just a suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
149 Old Drive, Northern China. I still have not received a question. Specifically said in the last meeting that you return all your phone calls. I left a specific message with your deputy that works with you, that I wanted to speak with you. And it's been over a month, and I have not received any phone call. You know, unbelievable that you can stand up here and say, I return all my phone calls. I've come up here twice, and you still haven't returned my phone call. And as far as the police department, what my husband left out was, you're in bed with the devil with the Battle Creek Police Department. Do your research. 97% are in alcohol counseling. And do you really want that here in Bedford? It's, you know, not a real good thing. Because one of your officers one of the officers that is working with Bedford turns around and does what the officers in Battle Creek are doing, driving super drunk with drugs. Do you want that here? That's the devil you're in Bedford. Thank you.
Is it Mrs. Tyner? Is it Mrs. Tyner? Here, because I never got a phone call on my voicemail from
It
you.
wasn't on your voicemail. I spoke to your second in command.
To Kara, okay. Well, I didn't realize you wanted to speak with me, so I'm.
I made that clear last time.
Well, please call. You can call me directly. My number is 965-4343.
Well, I'm not gonna remember that right off the
Well,
top of my
well,
head.
call the offices and you can
Well,
punch in
you
the
should be able to
extension.
speak to her
And
and ask her where the message is, because she assured
Well,
me.
please call me directly, and she has a lot on her plate that she's doing as well as all of us. So all of us have voicemail, and I'm more than happy to get back with you on any questions that you have. Okay, thank you. Sir in the back.
Not hit nobody or anything. So, sorry, last year, about, I don't know, August, September, I live at 3045 King Drive North, Valley Creek, Michigan. Ken's Energy's old place, Ken's Mobile Home Service on P Drive, Dirt Road. About August, September, I started having some strange things going on, like these, 4 different checks sent to me by FedEx, and in the name, laying on my door, saying cash $8,800, we're gonna give you a job. I turned these into Battle Creek Police Department. They wouldn't even come out and do a report. In October, early October, I found 485 grams of methamphetamine in a brick outside my house, laying in my yard. I have 2 sons. I called Battle Creek Police Department. 10 minutes after they picked the stuff up, they said it was fake, they threw it away, and they were not write a report for up to 2 months. In December, till December, from October till I went down physically and made them write a report. I've had a makeshift barn in my yard. I've had 2 guns put in a house of mine. and all this. And now there's a dump back there that the Battle Creek Police Department's known for 2 months off of the power line, off of P Drive, with gas tanks, all kinds of stuff. And I can't even get them to go out there and ask it, because I know it's private property. So if I'm dumping anything I want on my property, then nobody else can do anything about it. You get what I'm saying? They're not even going out, talk to the lady, they haven't knocked at the door, they haven't asked nobody. Not saying it's her that done it, she might not even know someone done it, because she's like 60 something. But why haven't they gone out in 2 months? Knowing that it could be affecting Bedford Hills, don't they have what, 4 or 5 wells there? Right? So them kids are over there drinking that water, and this police department that y'all talked about so good is not doing nothing. They did nothing for me and my kids. They ain't done nothing. This right here is called Guardian Industries. When I found the drugs, I went to Battle Creek Police Department and asked them, is there any reason why your stuff would be across the street behind my house? No, no way, sir. Well, this says it right there. That's property of Guardian Industries. This was on a skid in that yard that was made for a window at Battle Creek Glass right across the street. Over there, if no one lives there. If Mr. Robert Lowe, which I have not saying at all, Mr. Lowe did. I'm sorry about this time, but what I'm saying is why is it that nobody's doing anything? Last year when William Scott was here, whatever his name was, I asked him about, and I'm not about who it is on Morton Road, but someone put a 2-track in with crushed concrete and their sewage in without a permit. He said there was no permit pulled back then. He said he'd get back to it. I heard from Miss Daugherty, I'm glad she did, just this week, and said that now they are. But what about last year when they weren't? They just, that's it, it's over, it's done, they can do it, and with this new person will just get rid of it, and oh yeah, it was him, not us, I'm just tired of it. Now we got that 3rd storage unit up there, and I don't care that thing beats, man, I'm sorry. But Baca Realty owns Packaway Storage, do they not? There is not a new owner. I was told by this Bedford Township that this was a new owner that bought Packaway Storage. They've owned it since 2001.
Thank you for your
No,
comments.
I'm not done. I'm telling you, I want y'all to start looking at this. I want you to look at the GIS, everybody, and I want you to go down the GIS, and I want you to tell me why Battle Creek Glass Works sold Wild Mike's for $100,000, and then a year later bought it back for $200,000. Yeah, it's deed jumping, and you know what it is. Look at the GIS and tell me how people have more property than I have, and they're not paying taxes on it. I'm done with it. It's all right. Y'all don't want to do your job, don't do it, but you're just letting people get away with not paying nothing. I didn't do nothing, sir. What I do? So, what's that against the law?
She's asked to be quiet.
Is that against the law, sir?
Right now it is.
It ain't. I don't think so. It's freedom of speech, bud. You ain't gonna talk to me like I'm just gonna be quiet, dude. I've been here for a year. My kids are out there in this property while these cops don't do shit.
Mr. Werner.
No, I'm sorry.
Supervisor has asked you to stop.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm telling you, for my regards, but we've been a year. I'll leave, but we've been a year while you don't do nothing for my kids, my family. You're not me. I'm not bothering nothing, sir. I'm just a man with rights and a property and kids. You understand that? Yeah, I know you don't care. Have a good day. I'll be back.
I want to tell you how thankful I was that from 911 called down here last week and sent Kevin, and I don't know who the other guy was, out to clean up the trash, that somebody took a pickup truck load. And Kevin and the young one, was it, what's the young or the young one?
It was, I think it was Kevin and Mike.
Yeah.
Ethan, who are students.
Yeah, it was a mess. I mean, it was a full.
I drove right past it when I was working.
Oh, well, it was you the one that dumped it.
I don't have a pickup truck.
No, you could have brought a trailer. No, they came and did a very good job.
Good.
So, and another thing I'd like to comment on, this is all recorded and people can watch it, right? we are looking to get people and businesses in this township. If they check out those videos, what's going on here in the last few meetings is unacceptable. You're gonna scare people away. So it needs to be toned down from everybody. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, would you like to come to the podium, sir?
All right, well, for those of you guys that don't know me, I, changed my hat, changed my shirt, wore some jeans. What you seem to recognize is the same thing that I'm wearing on my shoulders every time I'm here. This is my third township meeting I've been to. The first one I came to, got out of my vehicle, I watched one of our trustees assault someone, work for the prosecutor's office, and assault someone. At that point in time, I mean, he's committing felony wearing a weapon, doing such things, and we still have him on our board. And it seems like a private security team to me at that point. See that he's not armed again this week, but the last meeting, stood up, hour and a half into it, big stretch, scolded like a small animal, a dog. Sit down. Sit down. I will not be intimidated. And you said this in public after you guys have announced my name today as well, violating my Fourth Amendment right. Yep, you know, one of your trustees said my name as I referred to the private. You know, said I was intimidating and threatening. What makes me so intimidating and threatening? If you could, we'll get you a chance for you to apologize if you would. You know, told to sit down like a dog. You're gonna get rid of people like me at meetings. What is me? What is me? Father, go to work every day, live in this township, enjoy the Parks and Rec department. What is a person like me? That I stand up for my rights, that I like to exercise my rights? The First, the Second, the Fourth Amendment, which apparently nobody here seems to know much about. Okay? I'm a citizen in this township, just like everyone else is. This is my third board meeting I've been to, and it's been as she just said, it's been the laughing stock in this country right now. It's gone nationwide as to what you guys are doing here and the show that you guys have going on. And I think you guys need to make some changes around here. A minute left. And some things need to change. First thing I would like was an apology from our township supervisor, like I'm some kind of thug in here. You know, do I need to wear a suit? Nothing's gonna change, I'm still gonna have this on. Care if I'm in here in sandals and a bathing suit, it's still gonna be on. You're not gonna change that for me. I'm an American citizen exercising my rights, and if you would like to apologize, that would be great. But on another note, the Parks and Rec department is killing it this year. I do appreciate it, man. I do enjoy bringing my kids out there. It's a great time. I do like what you guys are doing. I wish we could take some of this money from the marijuana facilities and just put a park out there for our children. Let's do something in here. Let's make a change. You know, let's not hire someone else or put a door and 5 windows in. You know, what kind of playground could we get out there with that kind of money? Again, I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Sir?
I lived in Bedford Township my whole life. Stayed here when I turned 18, owned 7 properties. As everybody I'm sure knows, we're on our 4th supervisor in 6 years. They're elected to 4-year terms. So clearly what we have been doing isn't necessarily working out well. So I think the idea of a superintendent, manager, or something is certainly warranted to be looked at this time. I would definitely encourage any process that you guys have, and I'm sure we'll be to involve the community as much as you can. But more importantly, I believe in work requirements, expectations, because every time we have a change, circus comes to town. It's not always the board's fault that circus comes to town, and it is a bad look for the township. So I think as much as you guys can be, you know, I don't have a law degree, I don't want one. Be specific, you know, what, this is the expectation. Please, do this job. If you don't do this job, you won't have this job. I mean, it's probably a little old-fashioned way of thinking on my part, but, I think it's maybe time to look at something like that, as far as that goes. The other issue, or I just want to point out, I don't know if anybody's been down Meacham Road lately, but the county has marked significant trees to be removed and trimmed down there. I'm assuming it's the county, bunch of red X's and dots. I'm all about trimming up trees and, you know, canopy and protecting the roads. However, what they are going to do down there, you're gonna get complaints and calls from residents going, why are we turning this into a 4-lane highway? Especially when, you know, if you call the county and ask them to pick up a tree that's on the side of the road, it's, oh no, we can't do that. But all of a sudden, we're gonna stand on our, you know, 33 feet from the center line easement or whatever. You know, I would venture to say that 90% of our rural intersections in this township are dangerous. They need to be trimmed out. For the amount of money it's going to cost them to do what it appears they're going to do down there, I think they'd be able to take care of all the intersections and then some. I know that's a primary road that we don't have responsibility for, but, you know, squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Right.
So maybe the township.
I haven't driven out.
Yeah, they just have a lot of them marked for removal and trimming, and again, I'm not opposed to that kind of thing, because that is an important part of road maintenance. But, you know, how aggressive they're being, and maybe if you spread that out a little bit better, you can address more issues for that same. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Perfect. Anyone else would like to address the board this evening?
Hello again. Wow, so much has happened here since I was up here last. Pretty interesting how we as a township have no structure in place. We've talked about it before. Stacy did a great discussion on how we lack structure at one of the meetings for the planning commission, and how we wanted to get on board and build a structure because we lack structure. That's really all it is. It's not rocket science to be a supervisor in this community. It doesn't take rocket science at all. What we have though is a disease. We have a disease of politics. Politics driving out people that truly care and are intelligent and have energy and have a desire to do good things. Because all of the things that are going on good in this community, we can look back when they started and how they started. They started after I got involved in 2015, and I got into office in 2016. We want to deny this, but we want to bring context because you love context. And that's what I want to bring to all of the things that you all as a board continue to fail at. Context like people saying that they would never have an ego enough to run for supervisor, yet the whole reason that they're involved in the township at all is because they ran against me as supervisor position. That is a man that is, since July 25th, is still yet to be charged with the assault that we have on video. The assault that happened, that he sits here still. Because we have a bias of control in this community that is being exposed at a great degree from majority of you here in this community. And it's shining through like never before. Because context like you left out last meeting, Jody, when you said that you did the same thing, that we said that we've never had a special meeting yet. That's not what we said. We said that special meetings are increasing, which they have. And you said that we did the same thing when you have approved now a $5 million project to move forward. And you compared it to a project that had $166,000 left to spend, but you left out the context from that meeting because we actually spent $71,000, not spending $96,000 because the fire department was wanting to just spend the money, which is our money. That grant money is taxpayer dollars. But you had a gotcha because we don't have, why do we still not have anything recorded? We had access vision here last week, but now we still don't even have the clerk or anyone here with a recording happening. That's the official recording now? That's
Mr. Cash was.
this person has been sitting here recording me for half of this meeting, guys. That's the official recording for you
Your time
guys?
is over. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wish to speak? Anyone else?
This gal over here is the official recording sitting there.
Seeing no other public comment, we will go ahead and.
She has power. She doesn't care. She thinks she has power.
Personal privilege.
Crazy number. Just wait till all the videos come
You speak up a little bit, give them the professionalism and knowledge we needed with all the requirements.
Trustee Beamish.
Sure, context is important, short. There's been some attacks on supervisor being appointed. When Mr. Scott retired, we had a time frame in which we needed to appoint a supervisor or the county would do it. So there's nothing illegal, wrong, unfair, or anything like that. We have a time frame to work under, and we took care of that. The other context I'd like to bring, and Mr. Heichel opened himself up for this.
Oh, yeah, let's bring it.
Every time he gets up and speaks, he likes to remind everyone that he was the former supervisor. I'd like to remind everyone that a majority of the voters in Bedford Township voted to recall Adam Heichel because he wasn't doing his job.
That's not true.
And it's not so simple for him for anything as he thinks, but he wasn't doing his job. He wasn't showing up. He was harassing staff. And a majority of the Bedford Township voters voted to recall him. So personally, I don't think I would get up and remind everyone that I was removed in disgrace. But Mr. Heichel cares to wear that like some sort of badge or a funny shaped hat.
Thank you. Trustee Players?
I just want to say, I think that overall the board's trying really hard to move forward. I really welcome comments from people, both sayers and naysayers and people that want to have comments. It's nice when they're a little more constructive than they sometimes are, so that we can take it, but this board does listen to everything everyone says and try to take it in and try to make the township a better place.
And Trustee Greenwood?
Yeah, I just had a couple of things. I wanted to clarify because we've had a lot of discussion regarding marijuana and how the money can be spent. So correct me if I'm wrong, as far as provisioning centers, we have an excise tax that we can spend freely. But as far as licensing goes, we're pretty restrictive on how we can spend that. So that's something that the board is trying to look into, and how can we stretch that without, violating law? It's something that we really need to be thoughtful about. And should be able to use the funds in a way that's constructive, so we're not taking funds from another area. Many townships are struggling with this. That's across the board, but something we're looking into, so just clarification on that. I also had conversations with a few residents, and I keep hearing about a lack of transparency regarding the board and the people that are coming to the meetings. And there seems to be a disconnect, at least on my end. When you say there's a lack of transparency, what does that mean? Because when you say that, it looks like we're hiding things. And if this is a communication issue, we can fix that. That's a simple fix. So if you're coming and saying, look, I'm not getting this information, please let us know how we're failing and how the process could be improved. Because, in a few years, we could have a whole new board, and if we don't fix the process, it happens all over again. So the conversation needs to be constructive, and we're listening, and we're not immune to criticism. I'll sit there all day and you can tell me how we're doing a terrible job, but if you're not giving me ideas on how to fix it, you're part of the problem. Everyone in this room is responsible. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. And now announcement by chair, chairperson, or elected officials. Clerk Raffle?
Speaking of communication, Stacy, we realized that the texting isn't really hitting the mark. So we're going to look for a different way to communicate. So we'll be getting rid of that feature. Surveys, I do like the surveys that go out in the tax bill, that you've been getting Parks and Rec surveys back. The first time they went out, we got more input. This last time it was a little bit less, and what I realized is people don't realize where the parks are. And when you think park, you think playground equipment, slides, benches, like a park. And most of ours are really just fields and maybe leftover backstops, leftover, but it doesn't really, not even parking. A lot of them don't even have proper parking. So that seems to be, people don't know where the parks are, so I wanna make sure that we start to get things like that out there on the website. And then figure out where we wanna spend money on the parks. I'm gonna tell you that it's disheartening to the pictures that I saw from the park today. Park, Bedford Park, to see all of these penises painted all over the bathrooms, on every side of the building. It's gonna take them all day to repaint it. They're gonna have to repaint the whole building. Could they spend their time doing something else? Yes, they could. There are other things that need to be done besides picking up after these kids or whoever did it. There's also a drain cover that was uncovered, and all of those things cost money. All of those things cost time, and you want to build it up, but if they're gonna wreck it, what's the point? We had a trail camera out there. It's very foggy, very, not catching all of the images, so unless we get a real camera out there that we can follow in real time, I don't know what the answer is. We did put some mulch down for the playground to help, but we do want it built up. We want ideas for that, absolutely want ideas for that, so. The other, if anyone has driven through the cemetery, you'll notice that 11 of our dead trees are gone, and you can't even tell where they were. But there's a feeling of lightness as you drive through, and it just feels a lot better. A lot better. It feels cleaner, it feels cared for, and it's nice to be able to focus on something that, you know, it's an honor to be able to serve the cemetery. And so I think our new grounds person, thank you. He's gonna do a great job. And you can ask Kevin and Mike because they're very tired. They weren't expecting him to have so much energy, and he's got that happening. The end of September, you should be getting your absentee ballots if that is something that you signed up for. It'll be available with the November election this year to elect a new governor. Spaghetti dinner on October 15th, and then the Fall Fest on the 22nd. And I just want to do a shout out to Tara, my deputy. It is definitely one of the best moves I made to hire her. She is behind the scenes working tirelessly, and she will help. Anyone, anything. So I just want to, oftentimes she goes unthanked, but I do thank you. Thank you.
Is she the one that's blocking certain people on Facebook from commenting?
Okay, and Treasurer Blight.
Are you the one that controls the Facebook page?
Taxes are coming to a close for the summer, 9/14 is the deadline. I've got to make get a bigger on the tax bills, nobody can find it. I don't know, it's tiny and hidden, so we'll make that bigger. We're about 80% in, so the last week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, there might be a line, there might not. I'll try to keep it fast for you guys and respect your time. Other than that, things are going well. It's getting better.
Thank you. Okay, and supervisor's announcement, I did most of mine at the beginning of it. I did want to say we just found out that Eagle has published now their list of the grant slash loan finalists. Number 12, we total funding $5.1 million for the water extension on River Road. It will be formally announced on Monday at 10:30 virtually. So we will learn about the next steps for this and where we go from here. So that's very exciting news. A lot of the places, it goes down to, there were 26 that received the funding, and some of that, a lot of them did not get the 100%, but we are 100%.
Not a superintendent.
So I think that's really good news for those people who have been drinking PFAS and bathing in PFAS, and they know they have it in their groundwater, and eventually they're going to have water that they don't have to drink out of bottles that's been delivered to them by the health department. So I think it's a win. It's definitely a win for everyone. And then I'm not sure if I mentioned this at the last meeting, but we are working also with Eagle we're kind of in a phase 1 to work. If you've been out to Steve's Gearman, you know about those structures that are in the Wabascan Creek, and they're silt diverters that were put in there back 70s after the dam issue broke. And we believe they were put in by the Army Corps of Engineers, and there's some minutes that we've gone back through, but the Army Corps of Engineers has no records of that. So we're working now with Eagle to make sure we can take them out because it would affect flow of water. Right now, with those continuing to be there, there is increasing huge erosion of that cruising land in the park. So we need to take this and really be serious. This has to be a priority. So actually Larry Reiser from the Parks and Rec Department, who has a lot of knowledge with parks, is working also with Fleece and Bandit Rank, Jeff, to put in the first for the first phase of this. So we're excited about that. We want to push forward with that also and look for funding. Okay, and I think that's it. Our next board meeting is October 13th, 2022, and we will, unless there's any other business before the board, we will call this meeting adjourned at 9:05. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah. Yeah. So this over here was their official. They got an official recording that was recording me for just recording me. That's all they did was record me. She did, I wanted to make sure. Was that what she was trying to say? Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. There's people here. Yeah. Uh-huh. Come on. And it exposes all of it, like I said. That's the whole thing, is that they don't. He says, I said myself up, so. Yeah. For what are you talking about? I don't think we want to talk to you at all. Yeah. I know. The what now? Yeah.
It wasn't long.
Like, you are like one of the most evil ladies.
Yeah.
You are one of the most evil ladies I've met here so far. You have been the whole time. I'll look at her walk away with her little cocked head. She's such a power-hungry person. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
It is. It is. My wife, yeah. No, it's the recall. You don't understand. The lawsuit that will when I filed a fraud finally lawsuit against the township, the next lawsuit, you guys, the next lawsuit that's coming, because guess what? Because Bedford Township, since I have left office, has had a handful, at least, of lawsuits against it. And they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. They had someone that came in and was elected as supervisor, myself. I came in and simply started learning the basics of what we were supposed to do in this position. I wanted to learn, how do we give the power back to the people? Give people a voice, give people an opportunity to do things in our community. And I found that we had no basic structure in our community. The structure as far as planning, we have no planning. So the planning, we now though have a master plan for parks. They keep talking about this $26,000 that they have to spend. That's because they have that money because I made sure that we had a master plan for Parks and Rec. Because of that plan, then we get money from the county. We get $26,000 every year. It's great. But they're not sharing that. They don't want to share that. They don't want to understand that we don't have the structures. We don't have the personnel. These attorneys are actually working to increase socialism going on in our world. The larger municipalities, the growing of the municipalities. When we can't even function in the size and what we have, we can't even build the structure. All the stuff they're talking about is not rocket science. This is a woman who's a professor at a university. She's a college level professor, and she's not able to come in and understand the basics on what to do and what's missing to then make it so that when someone leaves office, hopefully not for the reasons they had to the last two of them, but when we have actual structure in place in our township, then we can pass the things on. When I came into office, they gave me zero help. The previous supervisor I found actually was coming in to do the work in the clerk and treasurer's office. So it wasn't, yeah. There's been things broken for a long time here. And they always want to say it's me. All of these clowns up here. Look at all of them. Yeah. That one. Yeah. Let's tell you guys about some of these folks here. This guy. He's a crony person. He became our township building official, and while I was in office, our attorney said he was legally able to hold the position of planning commission chairman and our building official. It was very simple for me to look up the law and then compare the law and then ask our attorney, is this legal? He said it was legal. He said it was fine, until I said, is this law and this law, they actually conflict? Because in the building code, you have to be an employee of the township, which he is. He's a W-2 employee. But as a W-2 employee, it is illegal. You cannot serve on the planning commission. But he was going to allow it because these board members are not smart enough to read the law and understand it themselves. Chief, how's that plan coming? Is there a master plan yet? A capital improvements plan for the fire department?
Yeah, we've had three big meetings in the last
Yeah? Is someone helping do the planning, or what's going on? Who's helping?
We've been planning on it, what our goal is for years and stuff, and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had three meetings. Been all rolled up and stuff like that.
Where's a copy of that? Could we get a copy of that master plan then? Where's that at? Who's got it? Does Joyce have one?
Yeah.
If the township's got one, Joyce should have it, right? Okay. Then I'll ask Joyce for a copy then and see. All right. Sounds good. But yeah, that's him. And the guy back there behind there is Matt Daugherty. He's one of the guys that did the fraudulent signatures that you'll see. If you guys want to see them, we've got fraudulent signatures in the recall election. these people filled out the entire sheet on the recall election forms. It is illegal, but the county allowed it because the county clerk at the time, her husband actually was for that guy right there and started his business and got him involved in government contracts. So he does nothing but government contracts. If you hear him brag about it, he's done it many times. Barb Jones, she used to work for the city of Battle Creek. Most of her decisions makes it for the city of Battle Creek, not for the Bedford Township. But that's where her loyalties lie. Matt Daugherty, he and his wife there both work for the state. They're both state-funded employees. She comes in and, hi, that's my wife. She's beautiful. But yeah, all right, we're going to sign off here, I guess. We probably should keep it rolling, but yeah. Just keep it going.
Yeah.
All right, fine. We'll keep it going until we get out of here. Mm-hmm.
Bye, Tawney. See you Monday.
See you Monday.
Oh, yeah, I'll talk to you Monday.
Yeah.
Nice things for the park. Good night. We want to do nice things for the park. Yeah, for sure.
Chief said that there's some sort of a capital improvement master plan now for the fire department. Is that right? Is there something available?
I am not sure. Can
Maybe.
I let you know Monday?
All right, that'd be fantastic.
Because I'm not sure.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Not sure.
Yeah, I don't.
So how are they not sure?
I think that's.
How are they not sure?
That wasn't
How would
true.
the clerk and with that was a fire guide right next to me right there. If you guys saw that, that guy Matt Daugherty is a fire department captain there. All right, they don't know if they've got a capital improvements plan still for the fire department. Okay, like I said, since I got involved in this community, I've been making sure that we started doing the things that we're supposed to do. These people have not been doing the things that we're supposed to do, and then they lie to us here and say, "Oh, well, I just don't know. I don't know."
Well, it's not like they can
Yeah.
put it together real quick over the weekend.
Yeah, it's not going to be put together over the weekend. It's not. So, all right, signing off. I'll make sure I edit and add the timestamps on this so people can watch this better. It'll be good. So, all right, have a good night, guys.